It didn't happen. That is your social media rule of the day. So welcome everybody to the #Rugby Chat. Can the Jaguares go all the way? That is the title and the question for tonight. And we'll be talking about that amongst other things. We'll talk some under-20s. We'll probably talk a bit of Major League Rugby, touch on some top 14, and obviously Super Rugby. Super Rugby. It is so super. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your best place for rugby predictions and opinion. And all that super stuff is to really confuse the auto transcriber that then translates it into Spanish. Because we do that for our Argentinian followers, and it's going to totally confuse the transcriber thing, and it's going to make no sense. But hey, it's all fun and games. Joining me this evening is Herman and Michael. Herman, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. I got to ask you, are you stumbling, or are you actually a Phil Collins fan doing a tribute to Sudia?
And I'm going to ask you: did you deliberately buy a headphones with a red light at the end of the microphone to make it look like a cigarette?
Oh yeah, look, and I'm smoking at the same time. I got two red lights here. Things going on here.
Oh dear, Michael, how are you doing, sir?
Very good. Good to be here on Rugby Chat, the best show of them all that you do, Paul. So thanks for having me here.
Ooh, the best show of all I do. That's is that damning with faint praise because they're all useless, or I'm not quite sure. We'll see. But anyway,
that's an elbow compliment coming in. Mike is leading with the elbow today.
Yellow card, sir. Yellow card.
No. You can do that if you're a Kiwi.
Yes, exactly. Talking about yellow cards and Kiwis, Michael, you put out a tweet before this because we had coffee today and we discussed tackle heights. And so you went away and had a look at some, and you tweeted about it. So what were your thoughts on that, on the a rather interesting tackle by a New Zealand under-20s player against a Welsh player?
Yeah, two things. The player was fallen, but secondly, terrible technique. However, I think...
terrible technique by the guy falling as he didn't fall very well, or terrible technique by the tackler?
Yeah, terrible technique by the tackler, albeit the player was falling. Now, I'm a bit confused about this emotionally, Paul, because these are young players, and how hard do you want to be on them? However, just the more I look at that, it should have been a red card. Sorry, I mean it's direct contact with the head. If we want to be consistent, it should be a red card, regardless of the level of rugby. Just terrible technique, really, and what can you say?
There's that one. And Herman, you've been watching more of the under-20s than I have.
Yeah.
There was a tweet out I saw moaning about a card against Ireland in the Ireland-England quarterfinal, where there were 4 yellow cards, none of which were shown on the highlights, so it makes it a bit hard for me to comment. But have we had inconsistency around these high tackles or not, or is it it sounds like they've gone pretty hard on the whole?
A tad bit, but I gotta, maybe I'm a devil's advocate here, but I gotta defend the refs and World Rugby here, because it seems like they really been firmly instructing the referees, like head contact is a card, like it's non-negotiable pretty much. And obviously the players are both at under 20 level, and I think we will see this in senior level pretty soon. They are very slow to learn this. But what other way can you go if you want to stamp it out of a game? Is there any other option to take out high tackles than be consistently, even if it sometimes looks pretty harsh?
Yeah, it seems that that New Zealand got away with one here, because, as I say, every other tweet I've seen has been complaining that they're overly harsh on these high tackles, and yet New Zealand got away with one this time. So consistency there is not really what we've got, which is what we're kind of asking for from our refs. So unfortunately, the consistency wasn't there with this one. Now, there's consistency, and then there's robots. So to say, look, there's only one call has been considered soft rather than harsh on high tackles, then that's pretty consistent throughout the tournament. It's just that, hey, isn't it funny how New Zealand are the ones that happen to get lucky again?
Well,
so there is that, and I agree. There's clearly World Rugby basically wants to get tackles on the whole below nipple height.
I want to add one thing here too. Sorry for interrupting you, Paul, because I think we've seen this in Super Rugby season 2, that cards. A red card is still pretty hard, but we still. I mean, a couple of years ago, I was thinking like a yellow card or especially a red card pretty much meant game over for that team who got red carded. But I think there's a clear upskilling among the teams playing with 14 men or even sometimes 13 men how you actually do that. And because he was used as a general excuse, it's killing the game, And I always thought like, no, just learn how to play. You can actually win rugby games with 14 men.
You can, but
how many games this year in Super Rugby has been decided by a red card or a yellow card? I can't think of one single one.
Michael, can you think of any?
No, I can't. And I'm actually just, while you guys are talking, looking at this tackle again. I mean, I said he was fooling the Welsh player, but not really. He lands on his feet and he's sort of, coming down from catching the high ball. The more I look at this, the more it should have been a red card, because the tackler really didn't make a whole lot of effort to soften the blow, so to speak. But no, in terms of the question, I can't remember a game that was decided by a yellow card.
Yeah, and I'd say that particular tackle seems to be the exception to the norm in this tournament. Yeah. I'd say most of it's gone the other way. And I guess we heard with the Tupou one about he could have gone lower. And that is, I think we're going to hear that quite a lot at the Rugby World Cup as well. Simon's got an interesting one. Show me that the Super Rugby introduced another card, like say you're off for 20 minutes instead of red, depending on the offence.
I've been old for that for a long time too. That actually, because if you're red carded, the team loses a player for 20 minutes, but you're allowed to replace that player after 20 minutes.
Okay. So not have like a purple card, but having 3 levels.
Orange card.
Orange card.
Like
sorry.
Orange card. Yeah. You still need like the red card. I mean, if you like seriously insult or abuse a referee or seriously injure a player with purpose, you need that. Then you should still have that kind of penalty for a team, for sure,
And the thing about this too is like I can't stop thinking about the Lions tour in 2017. When Sonny Bill Williams was red carded in that second test. I mean, when you look at this example of the under-20 championship match, you could argue very strongly that the tackle is worse than that Sonny Bill made in that Lions test. Granted, it's a different level, but I mean,
well, yeah, but we can't. I mean, some laws you alter for level purely because you're trying to say like no lifting at the line out under certain ages and things like that, because it'll just make messing up. But as far as kind of these kind of laws, they have to be consistent throughout. You can't be making them you can't be saying, oh, you're younger, therefore you're allowed mistakes, especially at under 20s. I mean, you're allowed to vote at this point and drink. And that kind of stuff, and drive. So, I don't think you can be giving them, saying they're young, therefore I'm sorry, at this kind of level. I've gone blank as to what I was going to talk about next. There we go.
Okay, but I can just fill in to finish the last topic while you're catching your head again, Paul. Is that I think it's. I would say like in under 20s, watch a lot of games in under 20s, and it's very few of a high tackles that are with any kind of malice or bad intent. It's been more like over ambitious and poor technique, I would say. But again, probably one of the things I have the biggest issue with in World Rugby, especially when you're lifting a player, is the outcome is how the player is falling, something that should really be irrelevant, really. I mean, if you're lifting a player and throwing down to the ground, it should be a red card, no matter what, if they fall on the back or on the head or on the shoulders.
Yeah, the outcome one is a very difficult one, and not just lifting, but also if you contact in the air as well, as to how they fall. Yeah. Where if a player puts his arm out and saves himself, actually you get less punishment, which is just crazy. You're right. That is wrong. But anyway, so we don't spend a whole 50 minutes talking about that.
We could
very easily. Yes, I know. That's why I'm moving on.
Especially to mix the lion story into the mix too.
Well, I was going to say, right? There are elephants who have long memories, and then there are Kiwis. Now that underball bowl that Glenn Chappell did, or no, actually it was his brother, wasn't it? Anyway, but we won't go back that far.
I believe you're referring to the underarm, not the underbowl. But
underarm, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm not a cricket commentator.
Yeah.
Dear. Anyway, so quick news highlights from the weekend. Did either of you guys catch the Major League Rugby
highlights?
Well, not highlights. Me, you saw the highlights, did you?
Yeah, I did. I did watch the highlights. I did, and I watched the last 5 minutes because I not on live, but I realized it was a special ending to the game, so I wanted to see it. But you did watch it, Paul, so you spill the beans for us.
Well, no, I didn't actually watch it because I found that...
Oh, you didn't? I thought you were paid by them to even watch the game.
No, I put it on, and it kept reverting to 10 minutes in when I knew the game was at least an hour in. And it was kind of like, well, sorry, I'm not going to sit here and watch all that. Anyway, but yes, so the final result was 23-26, San Diego Legion against Seattle Seawolves, making the Seattle Seawolves retain their title from last year. And amusingly enough, last year they were second seed as well, but behind Glendale Raptors. So showing that where you turn up in the main season isn't that doesn't necessarily factor in. But I thought this was kind of Rooney might be thinking it's a bit of poetic justice because they lost to San Diego 24-22 in the semi-final to a last-minute try. And this time it was the other way around for San Diego, where Seattle Seawolves came and scored a last-minute try to win it. So a close and good game from all that I hear.
Yeah, well, from I could see too, it was pretty good, and good to see. There seems to be like decent crowds in some major league rugby games too.
From what I understand, this was a sellout. Yes.
Yeah, and even sorry, Mike.
No, I was just going to say it's fantastic to see the interest in rugby in America and Canada and see the crowds turning up and you know as we'll sort of talk about with the top 14 final too, you know, great to see really tight finals. You know, I remember the Super Rugby final last year was a complete walkover in terms of Crusaders being the Lions. So yeah, hopefully Super Rugby finals can follow suit and be close to fierce.
Yeah, I agree too. But the top 14 final, that was like not such a big surprise that it was a sellout in Stade de France. They usually are. They usually are. No pun intended, Mike. No pun intended. And easily forgotten. We touched this before a couple of times when we bash the French, like because French clubs are not fans of Test rugby.
Yep.
But what is easily forgotten, this was the 120th final in the top 14 league. So they got some serious tradition, and as I think Paul have mentioned this before, many of his fans to the French clubs, they actually support their club team way more than they support Test rugby too. This is a title they really want.
It is, and we've seen that in some of the European Challenge Cup competition, especially, but also in the European Champions Cup competition, or the old Heineken Cup, where teams have quite clearly sent out basically academy sides, especially on away games. And this one finished. So Toulouse beat Clermont in this one at 24-18. I must admit, I've not seen the highlights of this one, but two sides that packed with talent, which will be spread across all sorts of different countries come the Rugby World Cup.
Yep. Except for Jermaine Kano, which could be useful for the All Blacks right now. He's been awesome for Toulon lately, actually, and he was captain the side here too in the final. So
well, I would have of all the players in this one, Charlie Filmoina. He's someone.
Yeah, he would be very handy too.
He would be very handy right now.
At least in the All Black squad.
So yes, two ex-All Blacks playing for Toulouse are now French top 14 champions in that one.
For the 20th time. So they were the most successful club in France.
Oh, and they also are the second most successful team in the European Champions Cup as well.
They are. I mean, I always wonder about it. I don't know why it doesn't happen. Why, when All Black go on November tours, why don't you try to make some games against the French club sides? I would love to see All Blacks against fully packed, fully stacked French club sides. And there must be money available to do games like this.
Michael?
I totally agree. It's the French Barbarians is all very well and good, but yeah, man, All Blacks versus Toulouse. Whew, wouldn't that be great? It worked, when they played. I think it was Munster in Ireland a few years back.
Yeah.
So hey, but that's another argument. Bringing back the not just the tour to at the end of the year, but a proper tour. Playing the club teams and then a free match series against the nation. It should be that way.
Yeah.
And we've seen haphazard kind of attempts to get these midweek games back. I mean, now the French tour with the French Barbarians for midweek games. We've seen Wales play against the Chiefs in 2016. As you say, the All Blacks played against Munster a couple of years ago as well on their tour. So there are ones that like that. But the problem really is that we can still hear you, Herman. Don't worry. The problem really is that players can only play one game a week. So if you've got a league game, then you have a problem where you can. How do you rest players? Do you deprioritise your league? I mean, Michael, how would you feel if the Chiefs rested players for a Super Rugby game to play Ireland in a midweek game?
Totally hear and see logic in that, and yeah, you raise a good point. I mean, I guess that could also be about the timing of these tours. I mean, I think Super Rugby finishes in July this year, so you could move the tour to New Zealand until after that, but. Rugby, there's so much rugby and so little time these days. So, but yeah, you raise a really good point.
Yeah, I mean, and Super Rugby goes on, 18 weeks plus 3. So it's a 21-week season. Whereas if you look at something like the Gallagher Premiership, that is a 22-week season, 22 weeks plus 2 weeks of playoffs, which takes you to 24 weeks. I'm going to need to mute Mr. Herman, who is clearly taking a phone call. And then also, if I can figure out how to do that, and then also you have the problem of then with Europe. So that's what that. So what's that? I said that was a 25 week. 25 week? No. 25 week season. So 24 week season. Sorry, plus 9 games for the European Champions Cup. So you're up to a 31-week season compared to a 21-week season. That's 10 extra weeks in the Northern Hemisphere. It's something that you can do down south, separate the domestic season from the international season because it's a shorter season, and because you have the Mitre 10 Cup so that the non-international players have got something to do. Whereas up north, because they don't have that Mitre 10 Cup, you can't. The non-international players have got nothing to do. So you can't reduce the season any shorter.
Yep.
There's a video of the South African players at the top 14 asking for President Macron for citizenship. That's brilliant. I'll just unmute Oh dear, how do I unmute Herman and let him back in?
I'm back.
You're back. That's good.
I just got a phone call from the Swedish embassy. That's why I had to answer.
There you go. The Swedish president has been calling up our famous Herman. We are not worthy, sir, to have your presence. So yes, those who kind of knew. Oh, and also Gatland obviously got announced as the British and Irish Lions coach for next year, which obviously rules him out for being the All Blacks coach. I know that Michael didn't think he was in the running anyway.
No, but I think he has a pretty fair chance to become chief coach for the 2022 season, I think.
The 2022?
2022. That would be after the Lions tour. You don't reckon he's in the...
Nah, I honestly think he's going to give it away after the Lions tour. I don't know. I mean, what more can he do? He could come and coach the Super Rugby side. Maybe put himself in line for the All Blacks after 2023. I don't know. I think Gatland will. He might want to step away from coaching and watch a bit more of his son Bryn play and. Just go to his batch and wherever it is, I forget the name of it, but
no climbing ladders to go fix things though. Has to pay people to do that now.
Yeah. I think that's possible. I'd just be very surprised actually. How old is he?
He's like 60, 61, and I reckon he seems to be far away, like done and dusted with coaching. I think he still wants to do, and he's better than me, Mike, for sure. But from my perspective, he seems to be a guy like he's a proper Waikato man. He bleeds black, red, and yellow all through and through.
100%.
And he would, I think, he wants a Super Rugby job, but that's obviously the job he's looking for. And if you're looking at the curriculum vitae, like the CV of Gatland, he probably could get the Chiefs job. He have the merits for it.
Yeah, well, I think either Gatland or Mitchell would be just a fairy tale story for for the Waikato and for Chiefs. But
I can't.
No.
John Mitchell would not go down well as a Super Rugby coach.
The media love him. The media loves him.
The media might do, but the fan, you're the only fan that I know that doesn't hate him for destroying Christian Cullen's career.
But he's young,
We just talked about the fact that New Zealanders have a long memory, and he would definitely not be welcome in Wellington. Let's be blunt. Would he be welcome anywhere else in New Zealand? Oh, I'm not sure, to be honest. I think there are a lot of memories of his All Blacks career, All Blacks management career, and people are not particularly happy with how it went. I don't think.
You mean how he was the first coach to win us the Bledisloe in how many years?
5.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I say the people I've had these conversations with before, they really would not be happy with John Mitchell as a coach at all here. Now, as I say, that maybe it's different in the Waikato, but down in Wellington he would not be welcome. I'm pretty sure.
No, but fair enough.
I can't be wrong. I was wrong.
Yeah, you were wrong about the Kiwis not qualifying from the semis last week. You were like, "Oh, it's impossible! It's impossible."
Dear. Anyway, we should at least talk about the title of the notes, and I know Herman's opinion. So I'm going to come to you first, Michael. Can the Jaguares go all the way?
No.
No. Oh, so what's going to trip them up? So their route to the final is, the route to the title is to play the Chiefs first, and obviously they would obviously need to win that. Then they host, if they win that game, then they host either the Brumbies or the Sharks, and then they either travel to Christchurch or they host one of the Highlanders, Hurricanes, or Bulls. So where do they trip up, Michael?
The Chiefs, of course.
I think they will beat the Chiefs this weekend. I just can't see them coming to Christchurch and beating the Chiefs. I really can't. Sorry, the Crusaders. I think it's fantastic. It's a story. It's great for the game. It's fantastic for this competition, which is kind of become stale in a lot of ways. We all knew that this Argentinian Super Rugby side could do it. The way they play the game is awesome. But I can't see the Crusaders losing in Christchurch. I think they'll host the final. And, as much as it pains me to say, I just do not see the Jaguares. I see them making the final. I just don't see them getting past that.
Herman, are you still with us?
I'm back. Yeah.
So what's
the embassy keep harassing me?
So Michael thinks that they'll make the final and come unstuck there against the Crusaders. What about yourself? Can you see them going all the way?
Yes, I can, but I think they would need a home final to do it but also. We all know Crusaders' home record in playoffs footy. It's 27-0 or something like that, or is it 21-0? They never ever lost at home in Christchurch. But there are no records ever that last forever. And this time around, they're gonna need to work for it really hard. But what looks to be possibly Highlanders first, and then probably Hurricanes after that, and then Chiefs or Jaguars probably after that. So that's probably a tough challenge. The Canterbury boys ever will get to keep that record intact. So I think there's a chance for Jaguars to win it.
And for the Crusaders, I think there's a chance, but I think the Crusaders are hot favourites. From the beginning, we've said basically this tournament is for the Crusaders to lose rather than who's going to win it. I think it's been it's been a really, really interesting and competitive tournament for everyone apart from the Crusaders.
Well, apart from the game against the Rebels, not the last month. There are clearly signs that Crusaders are beatable, and now we're going to face two of what I would say of the four teams that actually have a fair chance of even winning in Christchurch. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm just. Is it 3 or 4 of the Kiwi sides the Jaguares have played this year? I think it's 3.
No, before
played Jaguares.
Jaguares have played 4 teams.
4 teams. They're 2-2 against the Kiwi teams.
Yeah, 2. No, they didn't beat.
They beat the Blues at home, but lost the Chiefs at home, and they beat the Hurricanes away, but lost against the Highlanders away. But all 4 games have been extremely competitive. I think it's bonus points losses or bonus point losses in everything. Except actually, Hurricanes didn't get a bonus point for their loss. They lost 28-20, I think.
Yeah, and I'm just remembering back to that Chiefs game. They probably should have won that actually. Listen, I think if they can beat the Chiefs, which I think they will go through to the final. I can't see them losing at home. I just can't see the Crusaders losing at home either. And the Super Rugby title goes for Christchurch, and I would love to eat my words, but can the Crusaders be stopped at home this year? And it will make it for an exciting final if the Jaguares can make it. Like I said, I love their brand of rugby, and the story is just. This is exactly what Super Rugby needed. It really needed this Jaguares team to succeed, and it's so good to see them living up to their potential that has been shown for a long time now.
I agree. I have a question for both of you.
Before you ask the question, talking about home advantage, we've got 7 games to go. I wouldn't be surprised if all 7 games were won by 7 home teams. It's kind of
it would not be a major surprise, especially. Probably, because the teams do now has not been really planned either. Everyone has to go on the volley for the travel now too. So it's a tricky prospect to travel.
Sorry, your question.
So what was the last team to win in Christchurch against the Canterbury?
Well, against Canterbury or against the Crusaders?
Crusaders.
I want to say it was the Chiefs.
Okay,
I give you a hint. It wasn't in Super Rugby, but it was a proper competitive game.
Oh, you talk about the Lions game?
Yes,
of course.
And I always laugh when Justin Marshall goes, if you're gonna beat the Crusaders, you gotta score tries. Like Lions didn't score one try in that game.
The Lions didn't score one try. The Sharks didn't score a try in their in the draw they had down there either. Yes, I think it's part of the it's part of how they make you play.
And I say, well, like if you're gonna beat the Crusaders, you better step up defensively and make no stupid mistake. That's a trick to beat them. Unless you're the Chiefs in Fiji, then anything is possible, obviously.
that was a crazy game.
Yeah, but what a beauty it was! What a beauty of a game it was.
So, just an update as to my coverage this weekend. I will be doing live post-match reactions to the Crusaders versus the Highlanders and to the Hurricanes versus the Bulls. I'm not available to do it for the Jaguares versus the Chiefs, but I might have a quick chat with my friend Herman and see if he wants to host a post-match reaction to it.
No, I would love to. So, if it's possible, I would love to. I have a couple of RG friends who speaks good English, but
so there you go.
Could be good TV.
So the DrivingMaul will produce a post-match reaction to the Jaguares versus the Chiefs, but I won't be on it, and I'll be scared about what might be said. So let's just hopefully.
Maybe Mike should join actually because he's a Chiefs fan. That game's going to be like finish 11 in the morning in New Zealand.
Yeah, about midday, I believe. So if you want, yep.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing at least 3 out of the 4. Probably not the Brumbies versus the Sharks, but maybe we'll see. So come back so don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below. Hit the bell to get notifications, and I say we'll be live straight after at least 3 of the 4 of the quarterfinals. Now we've had a couple of questions from the chat, boys. So Gordon Tata, and sorry if I've mispronounced your surname, sir. Evening, gents. Honestly, Chiefs are like the weather. You just never know what you will get.
Fair comment.
You think so?
Yes, I think so.
Because in the last month they've really stepped it up and have delivered. Michael, do you think they're being inconsistent or just taking a while to find their feet?
I think the return of Sam Cane, not to regurgitate the mainstream media's hype, but I do think the return of Sam has had a significant impact on the buy-in from players on the field. As I wrote this week for the Runner Sports, these guys, this whole team has watched the pain, the frustration that Sam has gone through in the last few months, and when he came back, there was I think a massive switch, and that defensive effort against the Reds is what kicked them into gear. But I do think they have been inconsistent up until that point, and I think some of that's been obviously been the results, but I think there's been coach hasn't exactly had the buy-in from his team and hasn't been able to get that sorry, I forget the word, but hasn't been able to get them together. So yeah, what Chiefs will turn up on Sunday? I totally agree with Gordon. You never know. This could be I don't think they will dominate the Jaguares. I think they can win it, but I think if they do, it'll be very, very close. But yeah, there's a lot more I'd love to say about their build up to this match, but I don't know if I can on here.
Well, as long as it's not swearing, yes, you can.
Have they left New Zealand yet? Chiefs have they left New Zealand?
Well, some have.
My understanding is that following the Melbourne game, players were given the choice to stay in Melbourne or come back to New Zealand. Some players chose to stay in Melbourne and wait. Others came back to New Zealand and then virtually had to get on a plane to to go back to Australia. So that doesn't do preparation very well for a match when you factor in the travel, which yes, they're well used to doing, but I just would have loved to have seen a bit more of a, hey, we're all going to stay here, we're going to wait, and then hit the road. So, yeah, it just, you never know with this Chiefs side, especially in the Colin Cooper era. So,
okay, so I'm going to take a different strand from the two of you. I think it's come down to, I think a lot of it's come down to injuries. And as you say, Sam Cane has been a big return. The other player that's been a big return, I think, is Debrasini as well. Having a steady hand, someone to run the game from 10. Obviously, they didn't perform very well with Damon McKenzie there earlier in the season, yet he's a mercurial player. When he moved to 15, they stepped up, and when they lost his magic, they slumped again. And I think having Debrasini there to control things, along with Weber, who's obviously been playing really well this season, helps them as well. And I think part of that inconsistency has been around available players so around selection, really.
I agree with that.
For selection, rather than
you probably should pitch in. You probably should pitch in Brodie Retallick in the names that have been missing with their back now.
Yeah, but he's not been. If you look at when he's been available, when he's not been available, and you try and correlate that to the results, there's not a close correlation.
True. He hasn't had a fantastic season, that I agree with. But I think Mike is probably a better judge than me about this. But he brings something to the team. I think where his teammates get confident just walking out with him on the field. He is that good. What do you say, Mike?
Yeah, it's exact same effect that Sam Cane has. Confidence, sureness, calmness, all that. So, but yeah, I do agree, bro.
I'm not sure he's actually that much leadership material. I mean, he wasn't there for the Jaguares win. He was back in New Zealand, for example. He hasn't been there he wasn't there for the Crusaders win. Or in fact, I think last game was his first one back, wasn't it? So he's not.
Did Brodie play? Did Brodie play when we lost against the Sunwolves?
Yes.
He did. Okay.
Yes. Well, I don't think
I rest my case, Your Honour.
Yeah.
I don't think he wanted to be captain, to be fair. I mean,
No.
it was sort of like Sam Cane was meant to. They were co-captains, him and Sam, and Sam, as he did, I think last year. Don't quote me on that. Was going to play the more senior captaincy role. And then when Sam was unavailable, Brodie had to really fit into that and do all the media duties. And I don't think he wanted that. I think he says himself that he talked to Kieran Reid a lot about being captain, which, was that the right decision? I don't know. You can't. The worst way to stifle a player of the ability, the stature of Retallick, is to give them. This might sound crazy, but it's to give them that seat. Give them the captaincy. You want to stifle their abilities. Give them that role. If they don't want it, don't give it to them.
Totally agree. I mean, someone like Brad Weber, he's someone that I think is very good with the media, has a podcast, is into all that kind of stuff, and I think he'd be the kind of person that you want as your media captain.
I think you can connect this to the Jaguares too in a very simple way. To look at Creevy, who used to be captain both for Pumas and Jaguares, but he'd been stripped of both captaincies. And did that? It's only led. I mean, you don't need to be the captain to be a leader of a team, and I think that goes to Brodie too. He loves to be the leader of a team, but he doesn't want to be the captain. I mean, some guys are just leader of men, but they are not good with media and with referees.
Yep. So personnel, yes, but as you say, Retallick's not had his best season. Getting into that All Blacks environment where he's more comfortable, not having to deal with the press. Maybe I expect him to step that up. Christopher Edwards Bailey says, anyone have any thoughts on the Rebels? What is their financial problem?
Yeah, I heard rumors that they're gonna fold before next season because their business model is simply not working.
Well, the financial model is they play in a 30,000 seater stadium, and they don't get anywhere near filling that. Basically,
Yeah,
that's your financial problem. They're playing in a market that is AFL through and through, and I don't think you can really understand it until you go there. When you see AFL posts in kindergartens, you realise that this is the sport these people do from the time they can walk, essentially. So that is it is. You have a city that has like 3 or 4 teams all playing out of the same stadium, which is the MCG, which seats like 110,000, and they fill it for club games. Okay, they don't have internationals. Now they don't fill it for every game. Don't get me wrong, but you get 110,000 people, and it's in a stadium, and several clubs do that at the same stadium. So it's within the same catchment area. That is crazy fanaticism for a sport.
I heard like the Melbourne Cricket Ground is the most like it's a venue in the sporting world that brings in most profit on a yearly basis.
Because let's be honest, you got 110,000 people in one stadium, and they like to drink.
And they play cricket there too sometimes, you know.
So the Rebels are in the wrong market, put bluntly.
Yes.
And
I think they've made some pretty bad decisions though as well. You know, they I don't know how much money they would have spent to bring Cooper and Guinea there, for example. This is just proof that you can buy talent, but it doesn't necessarily mean the team's going to perform consistently or in finals football. All this talk about how great the Rebels season was, and it was all right, but they had a chance to get into their first ever playoffs, and against a team that is the Chiefs, quite inconsistent. They didn't put up a fight at all. They really didn't. They gave the Chiefs 3 tries. So
it was embarrassing. This part
performances also haven't helped them. Okay, they had a good first 3 rounds of the season, or first 3 games across the first 4 rounds, because their first game was a bye, I think, from memory. But their other 4 victories came against the Reds and the Sunwolves, 14th and 15th in the table. They haven't performed.
You are the stat guy here. I think if you do go deeper into the stats and watch actually what teams the Rebels have beaten the last 2 seasons, you will see they pretty much only beaten the lower placed Australian teams. The Sunwolves, the Reds, and I think they have a win over the Brumbies too. That's where all their wins are coming from. It's not like they've been like kicking ass in New Zealand and South Africa, you know.
No, and I mean they beat the Brumbies home and away, so they did get 2, but that was well. Yeah. But the Brumbies are a side that's grown this season, and they're on a 6-game winning streak. The Rebels got the Brumbies at the right time and got lucky. They played the Highlanders when the Highlanders rested all their All Blacks. Because hey, you've got to rest all your All Blacks for 2 games, so we'll choose the away game against the Rebels. That's so. Yeah, they've not had since their opening game in round 2 against the Brumbies. They've not had a good win.
Yep, it's simple as that. It is as simple as that. Which, I mean, we should maybe not go too deep into it, but it makes you ask. You want to ask some hard questions about Rebels and the Rebel coaching staff, because that team is stacked with Wallabies players.
Yep.
And you can be as negative as you want about Australian rugby, but they're not that bad, the Wallabies, you know. I mean, come on. They still put up a good fight against the All Blacks, and they beat them only 18 months ago.
One of the problems about them being stacked to the Wallabies is that they can field what might actually be a Wallaby 9-15 this season, right?
Yeah.
But that's 9-15. It tends to be 1-8 that gives you your platform to win.
Well, they have good players there too.
They have some good players.
There too.
They're not as stacked.
Maserani, Coleman, these are solid players. So I think it's culture and it's culture related and it's coach related. It's something is not right there. I mean, I wonder. Sorry for talking too much now, but imagine the Crusaders losing 66-0 to the Rebels. You think they would turn up next? You think they would turn up next week and lose again with like 59-4 or 59-5? What I'm getting at is I think it's a little bit too comfortable to be a rugby player in Melbourne. I mean, no one really cares. So if you lose and get humiliated, no one cares. But if you lose in a team like, if you lose in Hamilton, or if you're a Chief player or Crusaders player, if you lose, you're going to hear it, You're going to hear it every time you step out your door. People are going to tell you, like, what the F happened there, What are you doing out here? Why are you not on the paddock training?
Any points, Michael? Otherwise, I've got a nice little story.
No, I totally agree, and again, this is the thing with expansion, with the competition. Yes, we need more teams. We need to grow the game, but where you put those teams, I mean, I don't. What do Rugby Australia expect? That they're put aside in that market with all the consequences that Herman just mentioned. Of course, this is going to happen.
Yeah, it was a terrible call to. Sorry, you tell your story.
Yeah, we wouldn't be surprised if they disappeared. And we had the force back next year. But I guess the other when we're talking about players and it being comfortable or not, there's a player we've already talked about this evening, Brad Webber, but. He when it was the not Sheffield Shield, what am I talking about? The Ranfurly Shield challenge in Waikato when Hawke's Bay came up, and Brad Webber had came up, and he was saying that 3 years ago he had before that game he had played in a Ranfurly Shield game for Waikato over Hawke's Bay and had won that game, and that basically took the Shield back up to Waikato, and then had joined Hawke's Bay the following season. And everybody told him quite clearly that he had to bring that Shield back. 3 years later, when that game came round, he was reminded he was expected to bring the Ranfurly Shield back. There's comfort for you, or lack of comfort, as people actually caring about something and remembering a game X years on. And you being reminded about it by the general people on the street before a certain game. So yeah, you're right. It's not a comfortable place to be. Now, it's not all. I'm not saying it's going to be aggressively told that he had to bring it back, but he's at least friendly reminded that yes, there are certain expectations of you.
Passive aggressive reminder. So this might I should have told this like 20 minutes ago when we were speaking about Brodie Retallick. I want to share this. It's a good story that Ali Williams shared about Brodie Retallick. So according to Ali Williams, he met Brodie Retallick in McDonald's in Auckland when Brodie was 16 years old, and Brodie walked up to Ali and said, like, Brodie was out drinking with friends, and Brodie walked up to Ali, which is some confidence, and said to Brodie's face, "I'm going to be an All Black, just so you know." And by this time, I remember Ali was the starting lock in the All Blacks. And a couple of years later, when Brodie made his debut for the All Blacks, Ali said that after the game, he was introduced to Brodie's mother by Brodie. "Oh, this is Ali Williams." Why, his mother replied, "Oh, this is the guy you're going to replace in the All Blacks." Which kind of tells you that Brodie might be, he is a humble guy in many ways, but he knows about his own qualities, that's for sure, He knows he's good. He knows he's very, very good.
Dear.
That's the thing, though. You know, with the best sportsmen, there is that not arrogant. That slight inner arrogance. It's like, yeah, I know I'm the shit, and I'm gonna go and be the shit every single night I play. And it's self-awareness. You know, a lot of people mistake that for arrogance. So, yeah, not surprising that the world's best lock all those years ago, walked up to arguably the best lock then and said, "I'm gonna be the All Black.
I'm gonna replacing you. You watch me."
Yeah.
Oh dear. So Matt Gitto put out an interesting tweet this week, talking about his rugby pet hate. Can you have you seen the tweet, or can you guess what his pet hate was?
No.
So his pet hate was players looking happy after they've lost a game.
Yeah.
And going around smiling and shaking hands and things.
Yeah.
Which I think it's a little bit harsh, because you can, you're gonna, unless you are a Broder Retallick or a Sam Cane who wins more games, or a Kieran Reid who wins more games than he loses, you're going to lose quite a lot of games. And if you get totally upset and stressed about it every time, you're going to have a pretty hard life. So I think it's a little bit harsh. But what is your pet hate in rugby?
Well, I just want to add a little bit something to that, a little bit off topic here. I have two friends who made it all the way to the Swedish national team in football, and made great careers and went professional and played the World Cup and everything. Both of them scored in the World Cup and all that. So they are and I would say their biggest drive is not like they want to win, because they just hated to see someone else win. That was their biggest drive. That was the biggest drive. That's what really irked them, was like to see someone else celebrate. That was like the worst feeling they could ever think about. And that pushed them all the way to the top. And I think it's no different whatsoever with the best rugby players also, It's just, I mean, one of them is like a really close friend. What he told me is like, what his thinking was, they don't fucking deserve this, Why are they deserving this, They don't. I mean, it could be like a very biased opinion at that moment, but that's what drives you on. They don't deserve it. I deserve it.
Well, I remember interviewing the Otago coach after when they won the Ranfurly Shield off Waikato, and kind of knew that he was coming back to Waikato probably to play the final. And I think he kind of was obviously happy they'd won the Shield, but I think there was also that realisation that, look, us singing and being really loud in the away changing room that we've won the Shield means that when we come back for the final, we haven't got much of a hope.
Yeah, my pet hate, I've got two. The first one would be when halfbacks deliberately throw the ball at a retreating player to milk the penalty. I think there's no room in the game for that nonsense. But also, it's this sort of, there's one line that a lot of rugby players say when they talk to the media, and they say, "Oh, yeah, like I said, mate."
Like it.
Yeah, we're not dumb. We're doing the job. We're there to ask questions. Don't treat us like we're dogs. Like I said, I'm not dumb, thank you. That's my other one.
Michael, we can probably continue this a little bit after we finish the broadcast today, but this was exactly how I got into Swedish sporting broadcasting media, by telling exactly what you said now, like the viewers are not dumb. But my thing is, I would say, like when coaches and players say, "Oh, it's going to get physical." Oh, really? Oh, I had no idea, It's going to get...
See, I don't mind halfbacks throwing it into a player. Personally, I think that's actually a smart play. What I don't like is halfbacks acting like seagulls behind a ruck or a maul, trying to point out stuff. But stop looking at the assistant the touch judge asking for a penalty. Look where the ball is. Put your hands down, pick it up, and throw it, please. That's
Yeah. Aaron Smith got a really high pitched voice. Damn, it's impossible to miss him. But I think like halfbacks is a little bit, because it's such a weird position, unique position in sport. Like basically, you are the smallest guy on the field by nature, because you need to have really quick feet. At the same time, you're surrounded by these warriors, and you're gonna be and you're gonna be the leader. You're gonna be the leader in that environment. So you need to be like, I would say, like I would probably compare you a little bit like Bonaparte, Napoleon. You need to be a Napoleon character. You need to be it because otherwise you are completely dead.
Well, there's an element of them being Jack Russells where they'll yap at somebody, cause the other dog to turn around and bark at them, and then step back and let their own big dogs deal with it.
Well, who wouldn't? Come on, Paul. I mean, if you...
no, but they're kind of like poke. Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But isn't that... It's the same thing. Like, I remember I saw this is many years ago. I saw an interview with Richie McCall made by a couple of English lads who had more like a fan channel. So they want to make fun with him a little bit. So they draw on a whiteboard, like, so here's your sideline, Richie. Where are you? And Richie just go up to the board and put us a round circle just right over the sideline. That's where I am. Because if you want to be a successful flanker, especially open side flanker, you need to know how to cheat. If you don't know how to cheat, you are useless. But you are useless.
Oh, we've done a whole show where I've done a whole show where basically the title was is rugby just legalized cheating? And yes, it is.
But it's in all sport. Come on, it's all about pushing the boundaries. It's all about pushing. I mean, tennis is maybe 100 meter and track and field. It's hard to cheat in those.
Well, you can take drugs.
I'm sure. Yeah, fair comment. Very fair comment. But I'm sure, even in a 100-meter dash, you say, like, in the spirit of a game or something like that, if you know you're going to win, you're going to trash talk your opponents when you walk out to the field to do the run, for sure. You're going to try to beat me? Really? Oh, you better run faster or something. You're going to talk like that non-stop.
Oh, dearie me. Right then, a couple of minutes to go. So the 4 quarterfinals are the Crusaders, Highlanders, Jaguares, Chiefs, Hurricanes, Bulls, Brumbies, Sharks. Mike, which one game are you looking forward to this weekend?
Crusaders, Highlanders. I don't really know why. I want to see a contest down there. I really want to see a team take it to the Crusaders and be in the game with 10 minutes to go. Yeah, I don't know. Are we doing predictions?
Oh, well, I'm not. My predictions piece is already out there. So if you want to go to find out my predictions, go check out DrivingMaul.com.
You go for 4 home wins. That we already understand. You go for 4 home wins.
You've got to ruin the article now.
No, but I'm with Michael here, actually. I have, how to say, a little bit of a gut feeling that Highlanders are really cherishing this moment. Go down to Christchurch, go up to Christchurch. The only team in the world who can say that. This is like believing winter for fall.
Well, this is like the free folk saying, when you come south, no, the true north, not the.
Yeah.
So okay, there's a fun thing about this game though. If the Highlanders win this game, they will be at home the following weekend, which would then mean that Ben Smith gets one more game in Dunedin.
Will they really be at home? They're ranked 8 still,
Doesn't matter. It's whoever wins that game plays at home, and whoever wins Jaguares Chiefs game plays at home.
No. I'm sorry, Paul. You're wrong.
So,
I'm sorry, Paul. You're wrong.
We could.
I'm not, but we're not just going to go backwards and forwards on this. Go on, Michael.
No.
So we could see a Highlanders grand final. Let's just say they beat the Crusaders.
We can't. I mean, they could.
No. The Highlanders would not host the final.
They'll host the semi-final, but if they won that,
then they because they're number 8. Whoever is higher would get the final.
if Highlander beats the Crusaders, they will play away against the Hurricanes, or is it the Sharks? The Hurricanes playing Bulls?
Hurricanes Bulls.
Yeah, so they will play away against the Hurricanes or the Bulls.
Okay, I'm not going to argue about this with you on air, but I know you're wrong.
I don't know if Sansa is watching this, but can we make it a bit more simple, please?
Oh no! fuck that ball.
No language, sir. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So for me, I think the Brumby Sharks is going to be an intriguing one. The battle of the rolling mauls, or the driving mauls.
You should sponsor this game, Paul.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes. So everybody, thank you very much for joining me, Michael and Herman. Catch the real Mike Pullman on Twitter. He also writes Runner Sport and has a podcast called
Accidental Offside.
There we go.
Which is a brilliant name for a Kiwi podcast, isn't it?
And
I love it. I love it.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Up there, down there is a link to become a supporter of the channel, patreon.com/DrivingMaul. You can get exclusive videos and other content. And over there are 2 videos that the artificial intelligence here at YouTube says you're going to enjoy. I'm going to go off and teach Herman the rules of the competition, and we will talk to you all tomorrow night on the All Blacks edition, where Herman will apologise to me.